Welcome, 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 Liberal 12th Man Show. I'm the Liberal 12th Man, and I am so glad to have finally Friday here. I'm glad because I also get to share it with you guys and be able to be a part of, the weekend festivities. We have the Irishman with us right now, too. I'm going to bring in the Irishman as well. How are you doing? Brian, how are you doing?
Good evening. How is everyone doing? I'm feeling fine. Friday night.
Friday night, and the feeling's right, right? I guess you're right.
Instant lyrics. Instant lyrics.
Instant lyrics. I'm like a jukebox. Anyway,
or a slot machine.
So Friday,
a musical slot machine, maybe.
Yeah, slot machine. Yeah,
a musical maybe. Slot machine. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, we did put it out there that slot was going to be our guy, and it looks like it's going to be pretty much that way. I mean, as of right now, they're trying to figure out different ways of getting it done. He's putting it out there that he wants to be a part of Liverpool. He's doesn't think that his current team is going to stand in the way and at making it difficult. And there's a lot of different parts and points of why he's slated to be our next coach. He's about the closest thing to what we have currently, in Klopp, and that's what we're looking for. Someone that's not going to shake the apple cart or too much. So it's working out.
Yeah, but barring any last minute disasters or whatever, I think you can get your Arnie Slop jackets or shirts or whatever you want to get. It seems like this is just a matter of us haggling over the last few quid on the compensation that they want, because I mean, yeah, he's pretty much come out and said, "Get me to Liverpool." I heard a quote from the someone was quoting an Ajax fan account or something, and the Ajax fan account just put up best news of the year. They're sick of this guy. They're sick of this guy.
They're sick of him. Yeah, he's been kind of like a thorn in their side for a while.
They've given him some heavy beatings. They've given Feyenoord have given Ajax some heavy beatings under him recently. Ajax have not been good recently. We know this. They're not the vintage side, but yeah, the Ajax fans are happy to see him go, and they know a good manager when they see one. I can tell you, they know a good manager when they see one.
Certainly, yeah. It says he's already passed. yeah, right. Yeah, he's already passed his medical only, waiting for that signing. Definitely slot in for sure. He has some charisma. It's gonna be interesting. He speaks English pretty decently too. So I mean, like, it's not like you're gonna have to piece and parcel his message together, which will be cool.
No,
you know what I mean?
No, they get like the BBC broadcasts, like in the old-fashioned way, still, on radio waves or whatever they call it, like but their towers are so strong because it beams all over England, and they're so close to Holland. In Holland you get English TV, like they have the BBC channels. So anybody in most, not everybody, but a lot of people in Holland can speak pretty decent English, just because they watch MTV all the time. MTV and they have the BBC channels, so they watch English TV shows. So he'll have a really, really good grasp, of English. So that is really important, by the way. Like, there's nothing worse than a manager needing an interpreter. That's just really, you can never, because they never get their real personality out there.
Yeah, extra step in the process that makes the retention that much harder to deal with, when it comes to whether it's your players, whether it's your fan base, it's all more of a difficult process to get through. And I was watching the link that you sent me. I watched that game against Portsmouth, and it's listening to Benitez talk and everything else, And I mean, it took a little time for him to even really make English his own. But once he did, he was able to at least communicate a lot better than you would then. Yeah, you know what I mean? At least he felt like some type of connection, that kind of deal.
Yeah, it's great to be able to give your real personality out there. Like
right,
you can,
exactly.
to the people, like
right.
to the people, like they all the multilinguals in the dressing room. You probably, but yeah, you want a manager that can come out and that you can really feel like you can hear his message.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what kind of person he is or what type of person he is. That's really important, to be able to connect with somebody.
Yeah. I get that too. Hylor's bringing up the point about everyone was talking about the compensation for Slot, which is closer to that 10 million mark that you're talking about, or at least you were talking about yesterday. But he does intend to bring at least 2 members of the support team with him when he makes the switch to Anfield, which is natural. I mean, like normally you bring the right hand man and possibly even an additional 1 or 2 guys on top of that, and so that will add more money to that number, that final figure. But I mean, it's worth it because I mean, you want them to be happy in the sense of having all the right pieces around him so that he can continue to, not have to like wear too many hats, basically.
Yeah, you never just get the manager these days. You always get the at least one or two.
Yeah.
They don't. But yeah, it's usually 1 or 2 plus someone for kind of like on the player's side.
Yep.
So that's normal. I've seen some crazy stories. Someone said earlier on, Ryan Babel said there's 40 staff leaving Liverpool this summer. Well, I don't know if it's that much, but yeah, there's going to be some big turnover.
Going to be there's going to be a high turnover when it comes to a lot of the people that are leaving, because a lot of those people that are leaving or people that are there were there because of Klopp, because of that connection to the manager.
And that's before we even get to players. That's just staff. Yeah. So it's gonna be a lot of new faces around the building, but that's, like I say, you gotta embrace it. You gotta look forward to it, and treat it with some excitement to see new things, and because always it would, just be thankful that we weren't one of those clubs that was doing it every 2 years and sacking managers. Most clubs have to go through this every 2 or 3 years.
That's a very great point. I mean, like, that's the reason why so often, when people are like, oh, let's just get rid of this guy, let's get rid of, I'm like, when you get into that Chelsea concept of, loyalty to your manager, whereas there is none. It's just a matter of you win, you don't win, you're out. That means that most likely you're going to have to find a manager that, again, one of the key reasons why they picked Slot, and this is what you were speaking on, was that, and I was speaking on it too as well, but like the lower levels of our club, in meaning like the under 21s or like, those kinds of those teams are all set up in the image of the first team, as in the senior team, so to set up someone, and let's say one of the main reasons why I heard like Melissa Reddy speaking on this point, at least she was speaking on the point about how like Amarin, for instance, was certainly he's a viable candidate, but he was never a real candidate for this position, primarily because he likes to play with three men at the back.
I bloody said it. I said that weeks ago. Yeah, I said it weeks ago that I
gave you props. I gave you props.
Yeah. No, I haven't heard that in, but I said that weeks ago. I don't like a three at the back manager, and that and what she's saying. Yeah, I was right for once. I was right about something.
Yeah, she said it. She was, they went on about the simple fact that was a major sticking point as to why they didn't pursue Amarin, not because of the finances. It wasn't like, because I mean, like, realistically, like, I get people think that FSG are money pinchers, but I mean, like, if it comes down to the difference of like going for a manager that could be a great manager for your club or over a couple million, that's not going to be
no way. Yeah, no chance. No chance. Yeah.
But because obviously,
can I just say something?
Yeah.
And I just say something because you'll know, you'll be able to speak on this as well. I've always said this about these guys, that when they came into football, they said it themselves that they were on a learning curve, and they were surprised by a lot of the money that was involved in certain things, and just the way certain things worked in football, like with bids and things like that. But they were got around it. But I've always been saying, like, lads, up until recently, go and look at the biggest sports contracts in history. Right?
Mm-hmm.
How many of them are in baseball? These guys will think nothing of handing some guy $100 million contract, like huge,
Right.
enormous sums of money. They're not afraid to spend. When it comes to, it's not like they, yeah, it's Christ, they're a penny, like they're not used to spending big money. Like some of the money that gets thrown around, I know there's no transfer fees and all of that stuff, but some of the money that gets thrown around in that sport is absolutely astronomical. So
Right.
yeah, there's no way that, like when you were saying, when they recognize something, they want to go for it. A couple of million here and there is not going to.
It's not going to
They're
deter
not
them
going to care.
from.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
afraid. Like I'm saying, that they're not afraid
I
to write a
if
very big number on a contract. And again,
if
it's
you
baseball, not football. But
yeah, I was gonna say because Casado, like as in or Concedo, whatever you want to call
oh,
him, he is like for the longest period of time, everyone was like, oh well, we might as well rule that out. They want 100 million. They want 100 million. I mean, someone had to say when they made that offer, someone had to be willing to write that check. You can't put your hand up and say, yeah, I'm going to write that check, and then
yeah,
bail out of it. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you were serious. I got to really pay that money? No, yeah, of course you do.
yeah. Like
So,
Bart at that art auction in The Simpsons, he's just pretending to bid, and the
yeah,
next guy
exactly.
just puts his hand up and he's pretending to bid. Are there any serious bidders for this lot? It's just everyone's just like, oh no, I didn't think you'd accept it. Yeah, like
Oh
Klopp
man,
confirmed
this
it,
is why
man. He got
those Simpsons. We need some Simpsons snippets of Simpsons. That'd be great to share with the people.
there's a
Yeah, I agree.
Simpsons joke for everything, man. There is a
Oh,
Simpsons
there is
joke
a
for
Simpsons show for
everything.
everything. There is. There really is. Simpsons is a great show. Um,
Our new
but
Pope.
yeah,
I didn't know you
what's
were
that?
religious drunk. I didn't know you were religious drunk. He's our new Pope. Okie dokie.
You know what? Yeah, who knows what? I don't know what's going to happen with Pep Linders. That's what Hyler is asking. And this is
He's
the
out the
finally
door.
Friday. The finally Friday session here is like if you guys got questions or you guys got some things that you want to talk about, finally Friday. Hey, let's talk about them. We're gonna do a little bit of a little bit of a soft preview of tomorrow's game because most likely I won't be able. It's at 4:30 in the morning for me. The game is kickoffs at 4:30 a.m. at least. So it's going to be difficult enough for me to be up for it, much less to do a preview for it tomorrow before the game. So I'll give a little bit of a preview today. But who knows? Maybe we could work something out because I know that my supporter boozer is open at 4:30 in the morning, but it's different settings. It's different settings from what it was for the Everton game, for instance. So we'll see about that. But all the same, I was gonna say about Pep Lenders. You know what? Who knows where Pep is headed? I know he's probably got some offers out there.
I think he was heavily linked to Ajax.
Mm-hmm.
And that
I heard
went
about
away
that.
quick. But
I
it
heard
is
about that.
confirmed. Like he is 100. Like he's not. I've even heard some
Maybe.
people yesterday saying, "Oh, I think Linders will stay and be here now." The guy literally gave an interview saying, "Time's up. I'm leaving. I'm
Yeah.
going."
Yeah.
These aren't fake interviews.
Right.
People
And he
just seem
doesn't
to
have a
miss this stuff.
relationship with Slot in the sense of the way he has a
Uh,
relationship with
yeah,
with, with
he's leaving. He
Jurgen.
basically said he's leaving with them, and not
Yeah.
because he's going with Klopp. It's not because he's going wherever Klopp is going, because Klopp's not going anywhere at the moment. But he 100% confirmed that he is leaving. And to be honest,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, good riddance.
Yeah. 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 I'm not in accord with that, but yeah. I appreciate Pep Linders for what he brought. I mean, a lot of our runs have been because that just sometimes it's just not written in the stars somewhat like that. And for some reason, it just isn't like the injuries and different issues. I was actually listening to a point, and this is something interesting. Chat can chime in on this too, but I was listening to a preview. I was watching my boy Drifty talk about the preview of the West Ham game, and he was talking. He brought up Cody Hackbo actually, and his guest was talking about Cody as well. and they were talking about Cody in the sense of, like, I didn't even know his wife was pregnant, to be honest with you. Obviously she's been pregnant for some time,
I
so
reckon somewhere around 9 months. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm reckoning that's usually how it breaks down. So for the good bit of this year, good bit of this campaign, she's been, pregnant. And, sometimes we forget that, humans, that these players are human beings too. And, there's certainly things that go on in their lives that can affect them positively or negatively. Now, how they navigate those waters is completely on them, but I mean, all the same, sometimes it doesn't necessarily work out the way you want it to work out when it comes to the results that you're searching for.
Yeah, I don't. Footballers have a habit of getting people pregnant, so there's, I reckon, at least 50 footballers in the Premier League at any one time that have someone expecting a baby. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Phil Foden, I think Phil Foden's only 23 and his wife is just about to have his third child. I mean, come on, Phil. Chill out, man.
Wow, Phil's making early work. He's doing he's putting in some extra hours.
So if you think about that, Phil Foden
trying
has
to get
basically
early start on his own soccer team, maybe, or home football team, excuse me.
Yeah, like if you think about that, that pretty much means for the entire, since I would reckon probably for his entire 20 to 23, his girlfriend has either been pregnant or he's dealing with a new baby. I mean, you don't need, so yeah, like they have it off a bit. I mean, it's, I don't think about it. Like it's basically the thing about when they have the babies is the first couple of weeks afterwards, it's normally a little bit difficult for the guy, but leading up to, as long as there's no complications,
I hope fine. That's not the case.
Yeah, you go.
She's had the baby.
No, she was fine.
That,
yeah. No, there was.
That, you noticed that when the baby was like due to be born, like that's right around where like Cody's play
had one of his best games.
Yeah.
Well, he had one of his best games. Yeah, I'm reluctant to tie into, everyone's different when it comes to that stuff. So I'm not going to say he had a bad season because his girlfriend was pregnant. I'm
not trying to allude to that. No. Yeah, I'm not trying to allude to that.
But no, it's I'm just thinking tomorrow might be a bit too early. Yeah. Maybe if it's
Endo, talk about having kids. Yeah, Endo's puts in work too. I think Endo's got a bunch of kids himself. Yeah.
Oh, he's got a 5-a-side team already, I think, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I think he has a 5-a-side team already.
Yeah, he's got at least 4 or 5 kids, something like that.
Yeah, so they're all they've all got their stuff, but I just think tomorrow might be a little bit too early for him. But at least to keep somebody, I can't remember who it was, but one of the older managers always said, like, and I know it's probably doesn't chime so much with modern times, but he said, like, there was this one guy, and he said, look, you just get married. Just get married. You're 22, 23 now. You're starting out on a professional career. You need to be grounded as a professional. You can't be out with your mates every night of the week. You can't be, doing this. So he was saying, like, in the old, like, it was just like, look, if you want to have a better career, like, and settle yourself down, basically, get married, have a kid, so that you won't be out on the tear all the time, with different girls and going to nightclubs, and just settle down. That was always like his advice to players was, if you have a girlfriend, get married, settle down, and it'll chill out your career. To have kids, it'll ground you, and it'll keep you at home more, and it'll make you be a family man. Is the best way to have a good career. Yeah, if you're go out with your mates every now and again, but if you're young, free, and single, earning $100,000 a week, it's only going to go one way. It's only going to go one way. So now, again, I know that doesn't chime with the modern, but basically, in any way, settle yourself down, keep yourself at home. Because that kind of, can you imagine what's like earning that kind of money as a young, famous man with no ties? Yeah. You can go home whatever you want on it. You've no girlfriend, no wife, no kids. On $100K a week, everyone wants to be your best mate, and all the rest as well. It's hard, like, for young kids that are especially from poor backgrounds.
Yeah.
So certainly. It's great. It's great to have a kid, settle down, and hopefully, again, these things don't always work out, but it's the best way to start. as Rastacrab will tell you, Rastacrab has obviously some beautifully young
Yeah,
kids. He has. She's
yeah, he has
yeah.
he has
He's
lovely additions
yeah.
to his family, certainly.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's got a beautifully young family there going on. He'll tell you how important that is.
Yeah, it's definitely important. I mean, I'm speaking from a perspective of a man that doesn't have any kids, doesn't have a wife or anything like that. So, but I can understand the family is important though. Family is certainly important. So blessings to all that,
And the
those
pops.
that can that have those foundational places. And speaking of, here's Beijing Pops.
Mm-hmm.
Big up Pops. It's called Pops for a reason, you know. Um, but yes, we have a little thing called a title race going on. I know that a lot of people have us out of the title race. A lot of people
Somewhere in
are
the
just,
background, yeah.
you know, um, but I mean, one unique thing about this title race that we are in is that uniquely it's the same it's the same old foe that is there for they're doing the work, which is City. I mean, let's just keep it 100, um I don't think that I really think that, to think that Arsenal and City are going to go and win the rest of their games is there's a likelihood of it happening. There could be a likelihood of it happening, but I think that there is still a little bit of possibility that it doesn't happen, because I think that if anything, they still have this, despite the fact that yes, now other than City dealing with the FA Cup, um, there is no other real distraction, I guess you could say, for them tournament or football wise. There's no distraction other than being able to focus primarily on whatever game is at hand for a lot of these teams. So we have this weekend coming up. And again, obviously, we've already had some results happen. City definitely, look, Arsenal definitely came through and did the work. Won 5-0 against Chelsea, absolutely embarrassed them. I don't. Chelsea is such an up and down team this year. I have no idea how to really reckon what you're going to get out of them. One minute you get a team that can take City to the measure, and then another moment you're getting a team that is getting blown off the pitch by a team like Arsenal, and even when they played us, we handedly served them the business, to say the least, when they traveled to Anfield. So, but I have some things about these teams, and I'll most likely leave us to the end. But I was going to particularly go first, talk about City at least. So I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to bring in JK as well.
And don't forget, guys,
in
the chat. Don't forget, guys, in the chat, that as 12 Man said earlier on, this is very much a what you want to have a chat about kind of thing. So keep putting questions in the chat.
Yeah.
Start up a few. We're happy to go off on tangents and talk about different things. So throw anything in the chat. Anything different, anything a bit different, not like lineups or score predictions, but anything a bit different you want to talk about.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm gonna bring up City right here. Unfortunately, for some reason this is as big as it's going to get on the display here. Even though it's as large as I can bring it up on there. But this is basically Manchester City's current form. This doesn't have the recent Thursday matchup. I already had this ready for us. I had it ready yesterday, actually. So this is why it doesn't have Thursday's result. So obviously, they were on 73 points, but now they're on 76 points. And they still have a game in hand. They still have Forest, Wolves, Fulham, Spurs, and West Ham left on their schedules. Now, what's unique about City, though, is that, look, City still have the possibilities of going from a treble team to a possible at least double team, and it would be for FA Cup, which is one of the most coveted, domestic cups in England, and it would be for obviously the title as well, which would be a major accomplishment, because then it would be it would be an accomplishment. That'd be a feat in itself to have won their fourth title in a row, which would be a record. So I know that they should already have played. So in the bunch of five, I'm just reading what Pops is saying. First game has been switched. They should already have played. So in that bunch of five outside of Spurs, I don't see them dropping any points. Yeah, that's what I was basically going to get into, which is like basically City, after all they've been through, blah, 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 are still favorable to be the ones that end up lifting this trophy. Let's get it real. You look at what's left, obviously take Brighton off the list with their only 5 remaining games. It leaves a trip to Tottenham where City have never won. Keep that in mind. City have never won at Spurs Stadium under Pep, at least. That's a pretty crazy stat. It's possibly the toughest fixture in this list for them. And that would be a huge favor via Arsenal's, London rival, for them to beat City at home. But but that's well, look, you see what Rasta Crab's saying.
Yeah, like I'd be with the boys. They're not. I can't even tell you who's going to win tomorrow, let alone what's going to happen.
Yeah,
over that many games. But if you look at each one of those on paper, you go City versus Forest away, win. City Wolves at home, win. City Fulham away, win. City Tottenham, draw at worst. City West Ham at home, absolute banker. I mean, West Ham just got dismantled 5-0 by Crystal Palace.
Right.
Their European adventure was over and they fell to pieces. So on paper, that's ping, 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 maybe, and ping. So that's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, a minimum of 15 points I'd see from that. That's what I see. And just F him. I know, because they're saying now Haaland is back. They were talking about, him potentially being... Now, he's cold. He is in really, really poor goal-scoring form. And when he doesn't score goals, he contributes the square root of F all, as they say. But it wouldn't be unlike him to just start popping in a few. Like, Forest away isn't an easy... But I'm not going to go too deep into their games. But it's...
No doubt.
If he comes back and he's fit and available for all those games... I just got to say, we've got to make this. First of all, we've got to make up a 3-point gap.
Yeah, and then
we can only start that tomorrow.
And then we have to push past that. Yeah.
Well, everyone's away tomorrow. Everyone is away. So like Arsenal have a tough game away at Spurs.
Right.
Tomorrow, or this week, either tomorrow or it's in this week, game week.
Sunday,
Spurs are away. Thanks, Chicken. Spurs are away at Forest, which if Forest decide to have a really good game, they can be a tough cookie to play against. You're not going to go there and slap them up like you might do with Sheffield United on one of their off days. So look, maybe not. Who knows? Whatchamacallit? Maybe, right?
Yeah.
So if we go to West Ham and we don't do our part, all this becomes completely irrelevant. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Pop. City or away.
Yep.
So, if these guys are going, if they're going to drop any, if they've any chance of a City dropping points against a Wolves or a Forest,
do you think Forest?
It's not at home. It's going to be away. It's not going to be
away.
Yeah,
right.
So
the
that's
Wolves
what I'm
game,
saying.
The West Ham game, I'm not looking for. And wait, before I even get into that, let me give a proper introduction. JK, how are you doing, brother?
I'm cool, bro. Hope you guys do, yeah?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Good to have you here, man.
And big up to the chat, by the way, too. Oh, some good people in the chat today. Definitely some good people. Hopefully, you guys are right. Yeah, we're representing. Hope you guys will just be able to chill for the whole 90, the full 90. Go to full 90. No early
plus
subs.
Extra time.
Plus maybe some more extra time.
Yeah, it's Friday night. Sure. There might be some extra time.
Maybe.
If you're good. If you're good.
Yeah. Yeah. So what it was with this is that, like, I think out of the three runs that we all have, I think City has the easier of runs, but I do put in a little bit of extra. I know difficulty on here is 3 stars. Technically, that's what it's listed as, but I may put it as 3.5 stars if we're going to put half stars. Primarily because of those away fixtures are not easy fixtures to go to. Fulham's not an easy place to play technically, because they're a good team. Forest is a team obviously fighting for their lives in the sense of staying up. So they're going to do the best to get some type of result from that game. And obviously the stat that I brought up earlier about Pep, which is a pretty surprising stat. I don't know. Did anyone know that stat before I even said that? I mean, like, honestly, I didn't even know that until I happened to be doing a little bit of research here, and I'm like,
sorry, what's that?
Pep has never won at Tottenham.
A thingy. Yeah, Spurs. No, I know when you said it. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting stat. Now, I'm not trying to break. I know all stats are all records are made to be broken. Of course, I get that, and I know that was said in the chat. But yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully that stat long continues. They do Arsenal and City, but the Arsenal. This is what Pops is bringing up. He's saying Spurs play both Arsenal and City, and without Udogie, Spurs will struggle with the high line and inverted wing backs. And I get what you're trying to say, but it's unique that we have to play Spurs too, which would be great. So at least we won't have Udogie feigning or wearing Speedos and doing his false diving as well. So maybe you have to deal with that.
Definitely not Speedos. We don't want to see that.
Hey, I thought he was wearing Speedos when they played us. I mean, that dude, Diego did not foul him on that second yellow. That was a dive and a half. That was a dive and a half.
Who are we talking about?
You.
He's out for the season.
Udogie?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's out for the season.
Yeah.
Bowen was supposed to be out for tomorrow, but he's fit. All of a sudden.
He's back. Yeah.
Same as Palmer. Wasn't well enough for the Arsenal game, but he's well enough for the Villa game. Like, come on, man. It's just like weird. Always against Liverpool somehow,
Yeah.
But I think
I get that. Okay, I get what Pops is trying to say. Do you agree with that? Do you think that Forest? So Forest is their next game. Do you think that Forest, who has a PPG or that's like points per game of 0.91, they're not obviously they're the worst scoring of the batch that are left for the opponents for City. Do you think that City is going to play, you think that Forest is going to play for the win, or are they going to play for the draw?
They got to go for it. They have to try. They have to be clever, but also try and go for it. But that's basically the life of a football manager. Mm-hmm. If you need points, you cannot walk into a game and go, "Oh well, we're going to get beaten here." It doesn't matter who it's against. Even if after the game you can say, but you cannot go into a game with the mindset of, well, we're going to lose because it's City. They need points. They have to try and put in a proper performance and just see basically what you do. Anyone that knows anything about managers or the game will have heard some manager along the way say this in some TV studio. What they do is, in a situation like this, you break the game up into 15-minute chunks. You say, right, for the first 15 minutes, we're going to keep it tight. We're not going to concede. or for the first 15 minutes we're going to attack. You know, because Cooper will say, well, look, we're going to start off like this, then we're going to, then we're going to do that. We'll take it piece by piece by piece. But they're not there to lose. They're not there to be beaten. They're a proud club. You know, they've got some big players, and I mean physically big and strong players, so they can go on and, you know, try and put a performance in, and if it goes their way, be ready to take advantage of it. But they can't sit there and go, oh, this is City, we're going to be whipping boys. Their crowd won't accept it for a start. You go down fighting. You know, it's just as, you know, rather get bet, you know, 4-2 than 1-0, and you don't try. You know, go out and have a go. That has to be the attitude from them, because they could get relegated. Yeah. So that's got to be the attitude from. They're not like we were talking about Fulham. Basically, win, lose, or draw, they're probably going to end up in the same position. 12th. They're not going up. They're not going down. They're not getting Europe. But the points matter for a team like Forest. So they'll have seen what Palace did to them twice last year. Palace beat them. So they'll know that if you can catch City on an off day, that has to be your attitude. That has to be your mentality of any coach going into a game. We can do something in this game. It's unlikely, you know, but we have to be able to look at it. And that's because, again, you'll always hear people say, oh, every club just rolls over for City and lets them play against them. I don't subscribe to that completely. I just know some teams, when it doesn't matter early on in the year, they're not going to break a gut trying to beat them. But what have they got now? 4 or 5 games left each? Yeah. You know, these points matter. So,
but Forest matter. Those points matter.
Got to fight. Yeah, there has to be some fight in that team.
There has to be a fight for those teams that are, you know, close to, or if not in the relegation zone. They have to, because let's not get it. There is a major difference in the money that comes into a team, you know, and the players, and
especially the players they've bought. They've spent a fortune.
They spent a fortune for a lot of the players. I mean, like they basically, you know, went against the FFP rules or PSR rules, whichever you want to talk about, to get a lot of those players in, you know, like, as in, part of the reason why they're in trouble is because of like all the money that they spent on a lot of these players. So, all right, well then let's move on to our noisy gooners that always seem to want to they love talking about our downfalls. So let's just think about the possibility of what and where can we see any downfall for them. They have Tottenham, they have Bournemouth, United, and then Everton at home. So they have 2 away games, 2 away fixtures, 2 home fixtures. The 2 away fixtures is Spurs and United. They have a home matchup against Bournemouth and Everton. The only club they're looking at, again, I put in their PPG on the right, which is basically the points per game. I gave this one's like a 3.5, if not 4. That result against Everton against us for Everton is huge. I mean, that really makes a difference in how they possibly go about playing that final game. But then you never know. Everton could fall on their flat in their face in their next matchup, and then watch as the pack behind them catches them or tries to catch up to them, which they're not comfortably safe. They're not comfortably safe. So they are going to have to put some distance in between them getting relegated. Bournemouth, I don't think that Bournemouth is going to be necessarily a problem for them. Again, it's a home matchup. And then the only 2 games, again, is those away matches. I think the away matches is somewhat testament of what was our Achilles heel somewhat last year, this year. You know, like, as in, winning on the road is not the same as winning at Anfield. You know, it just isn't. And it's very difficult when you go to a lot of these different pitches. And this is what they have left. They have obviously, again, Spurs at a 1.88 PPG. They're sitting at 77 points. They have 50. The goal differential is done and dusted. Look, that's the thing that sucks. I'm hoping the best result I'm hoping for from Arsenal is a loss and a draw. Where can we find a loss and a draw in these 4 matches? I'll ask you, JK, and then I'll ask you, Brian. And in the chat, do you see can you see Arsenal getting a loss and a draw with these 4 next matches?
Okay. For me, Tottenham, the North London derby is the loss, and United away. Could also be a loss
Alexander,
there.
quick no. Sorry.
So
Oh, there's this nose dropping left and right now. No. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, just like the Tottenham game and the Man United game are tricky. Arsenal a few weeks back were in the Champions League game against Bayern, and they were sort of off in a better position than Man City. So they've sort of tumbled a little bit with that loss against Munich and Villa. It sort of took them off that little pedestal that they were on. But I can see them dropping points at Tottenham. I don't want to go overconfident because this season we've been overconfident a few times, and we've sort of got bitten. You know?
Never, Jacob, never.
I remember the 3-0s, 4-0s. 3-1, 4-1s.
Few 6s out there as well. Less than that. Don't mention the 6-0s we predicted.
Fans were going crazy with them predictions. Anyway, but for me, that Tottenham game Sunday is tricky, and I think with Man City, the situation with them is like whatever comes is a Brucey bonus. We're in that position in the league now where whatever comes our way, comes our way. I'm not going to be really over the top of hope, but you never know in football, and that's why we love it.
Exactly.
I wanted to say this too, before you chime in. There was something that Pop said. For instance, I see Mark A says the title was done for us. As I was saying, there's a lot of no's that were popping up in the chat. And Pops also said Everton will be safe by then, and United won't want City to win the Prem. Despite what you're saying about that, United might have to win to stay in Europe. And that's the difference. Newcastle right now is only 3 points off of United in that sixth spot. So there's no assurance. I mean, like the 5th spot is pretty much probably not going to happen. They're 7 points behind Spurs for the 5th spot, and Spurs have 60 points. But United are at 53 points. Newcastle at 50 points. West Ham at 48. That's a little bit more tough sledding for them to get into that discussion. But United will have something to play for when they come up against Arsenal. They will have something to play for because most likely, especially depending on Newcastle, who has picked up form as of late, they are breathing down their backs about getting into Europe. And you can best believe that it might not mean a lot to be going. I mean, it might not be the same high to go to, to the Conference League or even to Europa, but it's still Europe and it means something, So it is something worth pursuing. And I think that they will have something to play for. But Brian, you want to look at, see if there's, in your mind, if there's a loss and possibly even a draw in those next 4 for Arsenal?
Well, no, we're making the fatal mistake of playing this game on paper, so that's the caveat. Right. Because we're trying to, like I said, predicting tomorrow's results is as far as I would go. But when you play it on paper, so I play the game, I play it on paper, and it's 4 wins with potentially drop points at Tottenham. But with the form they're in, they've just won the last 2 games 7, by a combined total of 7-0 against a good Wolves side, a team that can score goals against a lot of teams, and against the Chelsea side 7-0. They've been keeping clean sheets. They've beaten West Ham 5-0. I mean, they're in really good goal scoring form, and if they keep playing like that on paper, they shouldn't. They're better than Tottenham. They're better than Bournemouth. They're better than Man United. They're better than Everton. That's simple. So, therefore, they should beat them all. Definitely those 2 home games should be dead rubbers, right? Man United away, if Man United are, even if they are playing for Europe, that might play into Arsenal's hands because you don't want to give them space. So all in all, on paper, if they win tomorrow or Sunday, if they win Sunday, that to me would be their last chance to really mess one up. But we've seen it now before. We saw them last year that they did tail away at the end of the season, but they just don't look like doing it to me because they've got some boys in great form.
I get
he's
it.
even
I get
sorry.
No,
he's
I
even,
get it. I get it.
No, but
you're
asking me for my shot, and he's even got Havertz scoring goals. So on paper for them, I'd give them 9 points minimum, and I give them, and then at least 10. So, that's where I'd have Bournemouth, Everton, easy ones. Yeah, Tottenham and Man United is probably the worst double anyone has. I mean, City only have Tottenham. We have Villa, don't we?
Which is look, I haven't gotten to our
right?
schedule yet, but I'm going to bring it up next. But yeah.
But no, I'm right. We do have it. Yeah. So yeah, no. Look, what did I give? City? I think I gave them almost maximum points.
Yeah, this is
so
what
I gave Arsenal 9. I give them 10. I give Arsenal 10 points out of that 12 there. That's what I'd give.
Yeah, Ian was saying we are struggling to win our own games. We just need a couple more wins to mathematically seal a top 4 spot. Spurs can finish on a maximum of 78 points if they win their remaining 6, which would be an ask. And that I will assume that must be also if it is including beating us, that they would have 78 points. Because do they have 4 games remaining or 5 games remaining? I think they have. Let me.
Spurs.
They might have. They have 6 games remaining. Actually.
Yeah, I think they have
Spurs are on 32. Yeah. Spurs have only played 32 games.
Yeah.
We've played 34. Villa played 34. Man City have played 33, and Arsenal played 34.
Yeah, so they get it. So they're at 60 points totally now. That's 18 points is on the table still for them. Obviously,
you see, Chelsea.
We had 74 points. If we were to beat them, I think that would then assure us. That would then assure us at least 3rd place in the league.
Yeah, Chelsea and Spurs have 2 double game weeks left because of other
stuff. They would only have if they won all the rest of their games, they would have 15 points, and they would still end up with 75 points, and we would have 77 points. So we at least have we need one game, we need one win to assure.
We're 8 points. We're 8 points ahead of Villa in 4th. We've pretty much guaranteed Champions League.
Yeah, I'm not even thinking about that.
Yeah,
that's a given.
That's guaranteed.
I was more bothered about mathematically we can still win the league. So talking about
I don't know if United are rubbish, by the way.
No, I was just looking at the table there, just to look if it all went tits up, was it possible for us to drop out? But it like even if we only kind of got one more win between now and the end of the season, it would. Look, we're only 3 points off top. We'd be 5 if City win their game in hand.
If City win, then we'd be 5, right?
And gets a bit difficult then, So, hey, Daryl, hope you're well, man. Hope you're well, Daryl.
Yes, definitely, Daryl. Hope that you're well.
But we would have a better season than Arsenal if we finish 2nd and win the League Cup. We've had a better season than the majority of teams in the Premier League. Yeah. Arsenal would have had a poor season. Yeah, so for me, getting them the 2nd position right now would be my main goal with 4 games left. Go for the win, like Premier League title, of course, go for it. But 2nd position is very important.
All right, so I know that a lot of people were saying about our form and everything else and blah, blah, blah. I showed this tab on before, this isn't motivational tab at all because, this is all competitions. And in our last 6 games, 2 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw. doesn't exactly aspire to say confidence or assurance that we should have something to look forward to coming up, albeit. But I think, again, out of the 4 games, we unfortunately do have quite possibly the hardest route towards 4 wins. And that's the frustrating part about it. Look, Everton thing was a blow, but again, it's a derby. So, like, that's a whole different, bag of nails, I guess they would call it, or I don't even know what we say. But, let me make sure. It was a weird. Are you guys still able to see the graphic?
Yep.
Okay,
yeah,
just making sure.
Yeah.
There was some title, some announcement from StreamYard saying something about the graphics. Okay. But again, this is 74 points. This is us. We got to go to West Ham, then we host Spurs. We got to go to Villa, and then we host Wolves. We have those games are not easy games. They're not. I don't think they're easy because West Ham is what it is. But I mean, if you look at the points per games for those opponents do score goals, and we have been obviously letting in goals. Even it hurts to even say even against teams at the level of Everton. So that hurts, But can we get 4 wins out of this? Honestly, I know this is paper talk and it's all about this is just playing it by the paper, but as in, can we get 4 wins out of this?
We should beat West Ham. We should. The way they've been falling to pieces. If they do what they did last time and we show up, yeah. Okay, because they are used. We have a great record against Moyes, a great record against West Ham. Tottenham, that's a ding-dong battle. If they decide to show up and play football, that could be a crazy game. 2-2, 3-3, 4-4, anything. Aston Villa away, then you're asking yourself to go and win 2 in a row and then go to Aston Villa and get another win. Okay, Wolves at home. Okay, on paper, yeah, but with the performances we've just seen from our team, I can't, because I don't see the switch being flipped. I don't see the Rocky come back here. So, yeah, I can't see us winning 4 in a row. Definitely not. Just not. And that Aston Villa away one really sticks out like a sore thumb.
That's the one that sticks out the most. Really out of all the 4 games, that's the one that sticks out the most is the Villa game at Villa. And considering their record at Villa is difficult to knock, that is certainly something of what it was I was looking at as well. I'll bring up this little thing too. This is let me make it bigger for you guys. So hopefully this one shows up because this is basically our run through the year. Basically, it's one of the resources I use. And if you're looking at this, the greens are obviously wins. The oranges are obviously draws, and the red is obviously a loss. I know it might be a little difficult to read for some people if you're looking at it on your phone, but yeah, yeah, I got you. The caps required for that response. I feel you, brother, because this is early in the year. Obviously, when we were early in the year, we have gone on, somewhat longer runs, I guess you could say, or in a sense of 4 or 5 game runs or 3 game runs, 4 game runs. Villa was a part of that.
Can I interject? Can I just say one thing quickly? We went on a 15 game unbeaten run. Okay, we went on a 15 game unbeaten run. For 12 of those games, Joe Gomez played at left back. When Robertson came back in, as much as we kind of were all happy about it, and rightly so, but it just to show, because that's what I remember talking about. So if he had kept going and kept in the team, that at one point, for me, Joey Gomez was going to be player of the season who was never going to get recognized as, who was never going to win the award because he was so good. But someone else, like, so that just showed, like, we won 12 out of those games with Joey Gomez. You know, Joey G was unbeaten for a stretch once. He was, like, he was brilliant for us. I was saying he was, if he kept going the way he was going and we won something, someone else was going to get player of the season. But for me, Joey G would have been one of those guys who, without Joey G, it wouldn't have been possible.
Yeah.
You know, so that, we did. I think it was a 15-game unbeaten run. And he's dropped out of the side now, but I don't think we should forget how good he was for that big stretch. And when Robbo was out, and I don't know how we missed that. I wasn't in a rush to take him out, man. You saw a couple of my my previous prediction shows. I had Gomez in over Robertson. You know, because I didn't think there was a need to drop him out just because these boys were back. I wouldn't have minded him at all against Everton. But, you know, tactics or whatever. But he was instrumental there.
Against Atalanta at Anfield, he was done. He was done. You know, sometimes you see a player and he's like huffing and puffing, and you just know he needs a rest. Hence why he's not been involved recently, because Klopp knew he was done. He was done, bro.
Yeah, that's fair. That could be. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's been a lot. I mean, this has certainly been an uptick on. It's been a positive uptick in the sense of availability for Joey this year, but it's also been a definite uptick in the amount of minutes that he's been playing, whether like for club or even country now. I mean, he's playing minutes in both capacities. So
he allowed us to get through that injury crisis. Do you remember we were talking about? He remember we were saying at the time. He allowed us to get through that full-back injury crisis. He made it so much easier for us. If he played the right, he played the left. You know, if we needed to give Bradley some, he saved our season to a degree at the back in the middle. I thought, because if he'd been out too or unavailable, like we literally would have had nobody. Simicast was out, Robertson was out, and Trent was out. It was just Connor Bradley. Who would we have played at left back?
Yep.
That guy, what's his name? Thingy?
Beck.
Beck that we sent on loan.
You're talking about when we had both our left backs injured. Yeah,
and Trent was out as well, injured or suspended. Like, if Joey hadn't been in there, like, tell me who we playing left
would have been tricky.
Cody Gakpo, Chris Angel would probably come in and say it should have been Darwin Núñez or something. You know, it'd be like, but Endo or something like that. You know, he really got us out of a big hole, and like you say, he was available every single week. I can't give him enough props. He's been here so long. He's seen out Klopp. Been here longer than Klopp. No other player can say he's been here longer than Klopp.
He saw Klopp come in, and he's seen Klopp, go out.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to say it's all but over, because we do have some tricky fixtures coming up.
Well, all I can say, 12 man, there's a rather large lady in the background warming up her vocal cords. That's all I can say. Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, I know. To hope on those things is difficult, but I mean,
game by game, day by day.
Yeah. As long, I mean, like I've been saying it, like right now, like it's kind of crazy is that, I would sooner see City win than see Arsenal win the title.
Oof, really?
Yep. Yeah, me too.
Okay,
yeah.
now we're getting.
I don't know. I know there's some people. I've heard some people say that the opposite. I've heard some people say that they rather see the Gooners win than City.
Oh no.
Here I'll play a hypothetical, pessimistic hypothetical.
Reasons. Yeah, I'd be interested to know your reasons.
If we, for some reason, can't pull off these 4 games and we can't, we can't lift the title ourselves, who would be the biggest thorn in your side to see win? City or Arsenal? I'm asking that to the chat.
Yeah.
Who
So
would
for
be the
you,
biggest
you
thorn
want
in your
City
side?
though. You want City, is it? You're saying you prefer City over Arsenal?
I rather I would it
You'd
would
rather
it
say,
would
well, not
it would hurt
prefer, but
less. It would
yeah,
hurt
yeah, hurt
less to
less,
see
hurt less.
it would hurt less to see City win than it would to see Arsenal win.
Because of the whole, it's irrelevant
The
because
noise.
they've cheated. You know, is it like, do you see City's titles as
Yeah,
fake kind of thing,
yeah,
or
that has some
is it
factor in it.
because Arsenal fans are just way more annoying than City fans?
Yeah, it's the
I
noise
think
because
too. Oh, I
yeah.
was gonna say real quick, JK.
What?
Asking me, I would say one of the major reasons why I wouldn't want to see an Arsenal win or lift the title is because it would mean that they took advantage of an opportunity of City when City was vulnerable and we did it.
Mm.
Like as in, I expect to compete with City for the title every year if we're going to be in any hopes of winning the title. But if it's in a year that City has not excelled to the normal levels of like the 90 some odd high 90 style point tally that we've had to go toe to toe with them, and now all of a sudden City's a little bit more like in a vulnerable position where we could actually overcome their point total. To know that we failed and Arsenal prevailed would be too much of like that would be too much for me.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a really I would be less about the fact that Arsenal is winning in a sense. It'd be more about the fact of what we didn't accomplish, because I think that we are a better team than I just think we are a better team than Arsenal. It's just unfortunate that they've been able to navigate their injuries, because they've had injuries this year, but they've been able to navigate those waters better than us, and that again would have been that like
Mm-hmm.
moment, like that.
Yeah,
Like
but
that would.
their injuries have been Timber and sort of Martinelli. But other than that, they've sort of had a regular team. And for
Yeah,
me, if Man City win, you won't hear the noise, and
yeah,
you'll have a peaceful summer. You'll have a peaceful summer ready for next season. If Arsenal win, it's going to just be a horrible summer.
right.
So that's why I want Man City to win it. I don't want to hear no noise, nothing.
And Jesus, no, if we're being fair to them, Jesus has pretty much missed the whole season. But they bought an injury-prone player, so that's on them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But he
yeah.
has been out.
And I mean, like, if you're going to tell me that your title is going to like ride on any of the players that you just so mentioned, like as in they're going to be the difference makers.
But they got mad unlucky with this guy Timber that we were after him as well. He's apparently like world class, like, and he comes in the
he's a
door
really good,
2 minutes later,
player.
he gets crocked, like he gets done. You know,
Yeah, he's a good player.
But I more than anything else, I was just looking forward to seeing him play, because he's, look, I didn't fancy them to do anything. Do you know what I mean? I just like good players. You know, he was, to see him play, I would have been interested, because if he was any good, he'd be off to Madrid in 2 years anyway. Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that
He'll
kind
be
of thing.
back soon, I think.
But that's the way I think of them. Like, yeah, if any of their players are any good, like really good, they'll get taken. They'll go to, I don't know, maybe in City or Barca or Real Madrid or something like that. But yeah, it's for me, like City, I'd be the same. Like, it doesn't really register when City do anything because it's City.
You're somewhat numb to it.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It, like I've said, yeah, they don't. I don't consider their titles to be legitimate or valid, really, because irrespective, whatever we put it, of this, the outcome of this, which Richard Masters has been telling people today that will be happening soon, but sure, we all know that. I still don't put any kind of validation on their titles. I think they've been done basically illegally, and that's typical bitter Liverpool fan, because the team on the pitch played the football. The team on the pitch did their stuff. Yeah, they didn't take drugs and cheat, but they've been financially doped, so it doesn't get to happen. So, again, it's irrelevant to me, so I don't feel it. Like MK Toad there said, like, nothing feels worse than Man United winning it. Those sting. Those are the real ones. But
no,
Arsenal,
you know what?
you don't
That's
want
the
to. No, but
reason
just
why
to
this
finish,
year is bittersweet. too. By the
Yeah,
way.
but just like what did I just to just say what everybody else is saying. I do not want to be listening. Like Arsenal fans turned into absolute tosspots basically when they thought they were going to win the league last year.
Mm.
And it was full on, oh, well, thanks for the memories and the entertainment, Liverpool, but we're back now. We're the real challengers, and we were only ever just taking a break.
Right.
You were just lucky and you got Klopp for a few years, but the Arsenal is back. The Arsenal is back. And this was like with 11 games left, 10 games left.
Yeah.
And what happened there, guys?
Yeah, you heard the air slowly coming out of the balloon.
Yeah. All these Arsenal fans, like I said, like I've been on sites for years like that, have kind of, mail insights and stuff like that. And like the vibe for Arsenal fans was always like pretending to support Liverpool for the last like 8 years because they hated City as well, because City just took all their best players when they went to shit. They took Nasri, they took Adebayor, they took Clichy, they just took, they just went and took whatever Arsenal player they wanted. And they had this kind of fake support for Liverpool. But the second they got ahead of us in the league, they turned into old Arsenal fans. Typical Scousers, typical this, yada, yada, yada. It was like, I thought you were cool with us for a while. So it was just a load of shite. Well, okay, I get it now, cool. Because I was never bigging them up. I never pretended to big them up and say, I hope Arsenal win it. No, I'm a Liverpool fan. I'm not going to do that. But they were pretending to support us because they were threatened by us and they knew we could just beat them.
Yeah.
But as soon as they thought they were back on top of us for like 2 minutes.
They were like, they just like, they ripped off, they did the Scooby-Doo reveal. They did like,
all that built up hatred of 8 years of watching us through gritted teeth, pretending to like us. Nah.
Right.
That the mask, like you say, slipped very, very quickly. So I was like,
exactly.
F you, Arsenal fans. F you.
Yeah, there were even some gooners that called themselves Liverpool fans during the route when they were, going through their problems and issues, and then all of a sudden, as soon as they had the hint of possibly like competing again, they're back to being Arsenal fans once again. And that's why I'm like, hey, sheep and wolves clothing, or wolves in sheep's clothing, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, like, those, but in reality, they're more like sheep and wolves clothing.
Do you remember Brighton at Anfield where we won 2-1? How they played? They gave us a game, Look at them yesterday against Man City. 4-0 at home lost.
I'll tell you this much,
Typical.
JK. Yeah, go ahead, finish your point.
No. It's like just the way the season, it's always been like that. Against Liverpool, everyone steps up, but against City and maybe Arsenal, they sort of take the foot off the pedal. It's like just a weird energy, man.
Yeah. You know what's a weird energy is, and this is, I'm not trying to go down the conspiracy route too far here, but what is a weird energy is in that game, for instance, in that Brighton matchup yesterday, some of the calls were very questionable at best. And I know that we could get down and say everyone's got bad calls, go against them and for them and yada, yada, yada. But can you really go down the list of games that City have had calls where you're like, they got robbed?
No.
I mean, we can go through the list of games for us in the sense of like games where it's serious, like, obviously the Spurs matchup, but there's other games that we've had some really questionable, decisions, and sometimes even, we've watched them go on their television shows afterwards, and and twist and turn to try to make the decision to make it better, but then come out with an apology. Like we've gotten 3 apologies this year from the PGMOL, for instance, But name me a City game where that's happened.
Man City are the new Man United.
I'm saying it's heard crickets for a second.
Man City are the new Man United. Man United always had that connection with being favored. And now
I think that the referees do it, JK.
They do. They do. Yeah,
psychologically, they see, like, for instance, yesterday they'll see Foden go down and they'll automatically think, oh, he had to have been clipped. He had to have been clipped because he's Foden. They're United. They're a City. That's how they don't.
You got it right there. They're United.
You know, they don't go down easily. They don't look for calls.
Yeah.
They're City. If that happened to them, it has to be something. And you know what? I'm going to make the call, and then I'll allow for VAR to possibly overturn it. Whereas there you go. There you go. Perfect. With the sound effects in the background. Thank you.
That was cool. That was cool.
Drive me the caves. So Mulder, I'm telling you.
One day, Liverpool had 4 games left to win the championship. And now is that time. You remember this day?
I mean, like, I would love for you to say what, just to rifle off some games, because I'm sure there's plenty of games that we can go through for ourselves. Arsenal can go through games that they've been robbed. You know, Spurs could possibly go through a couple of games that they've been robbed this year. And I've never really come across games where City has had to deal with the same blatant bias. You know what I mean? The same blatant bias that these other teams competing with them in the same league have to go through. But I guess I'm alone. I guess I'm somewhat alone on that. Okay. All right. Not even the chat. I know I see K-Max in the chat. I see Drunk Vigo in the chat. Like, you know, I know that they sometimes deal with their own conspiracies.
Like in the real world, the rich always get their favors, you know, and it's like in football the same.
Yeah.
Man City, probably one of the richest clubs in the world, they get their favors done.
And
that's the way of life. Man United used to do it back in the days with Ferguson.
Yep.
Favors always going their way. And that's happening now with Man City. So
tell me about it. But it's the great Pep. Pep does, you know, Pep's players can do no, Pep players and himself can do no wrong in the minds of the PGMOL, especially when Pep's bosses are paying you in other leagues. So maybe that's the case too. Anyhow, yes, every team does feel the same. I understand pretty much every team feels the same. You know, they could go to the extent of what Forest did. We didn't really talk about that. Do you think Forest went too far with what they had to say?
On reflection, yes.
With the way they said it.
On reflection, yes.
But the stated
but for very specific reasons, though. For very specific reasons.
They just stated facts, bro.
Well,
you know, what else could they do?
At the time I was all for it.
Best teams wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I'll let you finish. I'm sorry. Let me just bring in this one thing. K-Max says the best teams and managers don't need help from the officials because they win all the time. We just have to accept that. That statement in itself, we just talked about Fergie, okay? And we just talked about Pep. They're two of the best teams we've had to go against and see in the Prem at least. And we're talking about how the referees tend to help Man City and in the past have helped United with, you know, the whole Fergie time. And I mean, the whole concept of that is because of what the refs and officials were doing. So that gets a little bit of a BS meter for me, K-Mac. Everyone can use a little help, even the best teams. You want to give the best teams shouldn't need the extra help. But if you're going to give it to them, you're not going to turn it down. So that's what I have to say. So go ahead. All right. I'm sorry. And I apologize for interrupting you, Brian. Go ahead.
Yeah, I forgot what we were saying now.
All right. I'm sorry about that.
What were you saying? I was saying something about something. What was it?
Oh, let's see if it was about something in the chat here. We were just speaking on City's dealings with the City not having to deal
No,
with the
we'd
same.
moved on. No, we'd moved on because I'm not getting into it. We'd moved on to something else that we just were at say. But yeah, look, yeah, we can go on to the
Twilight
next.
Zone music. It's messed us up.
X-Files, man.
Yeah.
X-Files, dude.
Was
X-Files.
it
X-Files music, yeah.
But yeah, we'll go on to the next point, maybe the next thing. Oh,
Yeah.
Nottingham
We're talking about
Forest, Neon
Forest.
Grave.
We're talking about
Thank you,
Forest, baby.
thank
Yeah.
you, Neon. Thank you. I was saying that I agreed with it at the time, right? And I just thought, look, if it was a bit, I just thought it was kind of funny. Basically, I thought it was kind of entertaining to have some of these guys come out and do that. But then, on reflection, I remembered what football fans are like. Now I know nothing has come of this. I'm not saying, but if then I remember back to Andres Frisk, who was accused of cheating by Jose Mourinho. He was a Swedish referee in the Champions League and basically had to quit refereeing because so many people heard what Mourinho said. And again, this is an extreme example. Please don't use this to apply it to every example or every situation. But he had to resign because he was basically getting death threats. And what I didn't like was the fact that Nottingham Forest, if they had an issue with that, what they've come out and said publicly is that the guy that was in VAR is biased against our club. And there you go. No, and everyone knows who he is. And we know what football fans are like. So that should have been kept, that complaint should have been kept a little bit more private, because that guy doesn't really need the owner of a football club coming out and accusing him of cheating, because like I say, we all know how crazy football fans can be. So for me personally, it's just my opinion. I don't, stuff like that can be dangerous, and it was a little bit irresponsible. The complaint is legitimate. The worry is legitimate. The issue is legitimate. But to come out publicly and accuse this guy of that, because that can be a little bit difficult, because we see what happens to people on social media, because you can look up this guy's name
by claiming that he's a
Luton fan. Just keep it in house and take your complaints private, and if they are real and genuine and valid, but for me, it was a little bit dangerous. It's not a good precedent to set to call people out publicly, because of the way football fans and social media are now, because we speak so much about families. These people have families as well.
Right.
And they can be found on it. With some fans, they'll find your mother on Instagram. They'll find your address. They'll find, these guys are crazy, some of them.
Yeah.
And you just don't need some multi-millionaire club owner calling out, from the club account on social media. I thought that was, let's just say, at best, unprofessional. And they should have kept their complaints within the proper structures without making it a public thing for basically the whole media. It became a media feeding frenzy.
The frustrations are coming from the fact that they did put it through the proper structures and the proper
but they should have still left it private.
And yet they're still not getting any resolution from it. So I mean, like, eventually, you might be a whistleblower, but you want to keep the integrity of the league to be pristine and everything else. You're doing your best to do that, but like,
no, but this is the team.
If you're going to continue to allow for that to happen, eventually you're going to say, all right, well then, if you have no regard for me, I had no regard for you.
Well, that's massively unprofessional, then, in my opinion. Like, that's what I'm saying. That, like, you want to cross the line into the personal. You're crossing the line into the personal. Then, I gave my like. I don't think they should have done it.
I got you.
In the way they did it. Yeah, no, they made it personal between them and this guy, and they're a football club. He's an individual.
I'm not agreeing with the whole outing the Liverpool.
But the thing, what I'm saying is, like, this is social media now. You got clubs tweeting like they're 14-year-old kids, and this is also the club that knowingly broke FFP rules, and then tried to say that because they weren't part of the league when FFP rules were because they were voted on by the Premier League, that they weren't in the Premier League when those rules were voted on, that those rules shouldn't apply for us. Well, there were also other rules voted on, like the offside rule.
Mm-hmm.
So should all rules not apply to you because you weren't there when that was their defense. They put up some really, and also F Nottingham Forest, because go back and watch the game where we played them and listen to the crowd. That's all I can say. Absolute scumbags.
True.
Yeah.
Some of the worst chanting I've ever heard was by that crowd at us.
No doubt.
So I don't really have sympathy
look,
for that club.
Luton was suspect to that too. I do.
They all are.
Appreciate the fact that
clubs.
Luton came out the next day and basically admonished their. They were said that they apologized for the conduct of the crowd type deal. But
Forest should know. Like Forest were involved. They should know.
Mm-hmm.
They're entwined with the history of Liverpool. They should know. And the way they sung those chants. Nah, man. It like I used to wear one of their shirts when I was a kid, like a really young kid, because my mom got it for me in some secondhand shop or something. But it'd be worth like £1,000 today because it was in a proper original shirt when they won the European Cup. And I used to like wearing it because it was red and it looked like the Liverpool shirt. And if my brother was wearing a Liverpool shirt, I'd wear that instead. Mm-hmm. And because I always kind of used to like them because of that. This season, the way their fans have been acting, they've gone way down in my estimation. Way, way down.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming out now to make laws about that. You've seen that, JK, for this tragedy chanting. They're coming out like to make actual laws and legislation. It's gotten so bad, and it's because of clubs like them.
Mm-hmm. But
says a lot.
But I feel that what they did wasn't as bad. They just stated facts. The guy who was making the decision,
meaning Forrest with the allegations about the referee, right?
But the VAR guy, he was a Luton fan and stuff. But they just sort of pinpointed facts. So it's got to that level now where they have to do that. They had no other choice, So for me, I had no quarrels about what they did.
I agree with you on that.
I think they did this sort of good thing. It was good to see that someone actually stood up against what's been going on. Simple as.
Yeah, because when are you going to complain about it? When you're in the championship? When you're already relegated? Is that when you're going to complain about it?
Straight away,
you're going to hope for a decision. You're gonna hope for a decision like in the next couple of weeks or something like that.
We'll email you.
Did you see what they did and see what came out of Sweden today? The Swedish like their Premier League or it's not a bad league. It's a good league. They have teams in Champions League and stuff. Not as strong as the Norwegian team, but anyway, they voted against VAR. There'd be no VAR. It was they voted. They said no, we don't want it. They looked at it and they said nope. We've watched it now in Europe or whatever because they don't. It didn't get introduced everywhere. Last season or whatever. Some leagues have been not taking it up. So the Swedish and everyone always admires the Scandinavians, for their forward thinkingness and their modern way of thinking and doing things. And they've said, no, we don't want it. It's not beneficial to the league. It doesn't help things. It ruins the game. So you can stick it. And it's Sweden, an incredibly rich country. Not as rich as Norway with their oil and stuff. So it's not a money thing. It's very expensive to bring in VAR because, like someone pointed out the other day, it's literally an outside contractor that you have to bring in. And you have to pay for VAR. That's why some grounds don't have all the camera angles because you have to pay for extra and you have to pay for the lines,
cameras and everything.
You have to pay for the lines. The lines that get drawn. You have to pay for that. That's like an extra subscription service and all that stuff. So, but the Swedish FA just said, had a look at it, asked everybody involved, and they said, no way, we do not want that shite. It's a load of nonsense. And more power to him, lads. More power to him. We should have done the same ourselves. Yeah,
I said a few weeks ago about the fans getting together and actually doing something against VAR, sort of get out the game. So
get rid of it.
Get rid of it. And you ever watch first like the Championship football, like Coventry, Leeds, Southampton? Them games are so exciting. It's like because there's no VAR involved because it's expensive to run. Them guys can't probably afford it, but the games are
Exactly.
exciting. Mm-hmm.
And that's what I asked one of my mates. He does the Leicester channel. He's been doing it for years now, and he's still only young enough. But he goes home and away. You know, if not, at least he goes to every home game.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you know, they were devastated when they got relegated. You know, it was really bad, and they were in really, you know, obviously it wasn't great watching his channel. You know, and it was really, you know, it was a real depressing summer for them. You know, leading into the Championship, and then they got this guy Maresca in, and they started winning some games, and it was fun. And they went down a mad run, or they were like 10 points clear and all that stuff. And I remember saying to him, probably somewhere around Christmas time, and he was in a better mood. I said, like, so what's the best thing about being back in the Championship? And I was expecting him to say away games because he loves his away days. Mm-hmm. And he said straight off the bat, no VAR. No VAR.
Yeah,
instantly.
I can understand that.
No VAR. He said that is the best thing about it.
How often have you seen a great goal and then you got to look at your mate or look at, you know, and just be like, we gotta wait to celebrate.
5 days. Yeah, go make your dinner, come back, and it'll be sorted. Maybe not.
Yeah, like you gotta wait to watch it to figure out if it's going to be legit or not. Mm-hmm. You know, and especially sometimes with some of these ways that they break it down, they'll go sometimes even further and further back into the play. You know, into the build up of play, where you're just like, oh wow, they're really going they're really going back. You know, to look for something. So yeah. It is something of
now's the time. I think if other countries sort of follow suit, like Sweden, I think it can be a thing. Hopefully, other countries catch on and do the same things. It's taken the buzz away from football, you know.
Absolutely.
You get a twisted neck looking if the offside flags up, you know. It's like it's mad.
Oh, you're right. You're right. So for this next match coming up, because we're on the 90th minute here, what do you have going down for us in this next upcoming matchup? I know we're not going to do a full preview, but we're just going to do kind of like, you know, what your own little predictions are type segment here for the extra minutes or extra time that we're going to spend here. What do you see happening for West Ham? Brian, you want to go first?
Where do we go? Yeah. What do we do with this?
Yeah.
How do we call this? Like we called.
Well, what would be your starting 11? Let's start off with if you want.
Oh, okay, starting 11. Does he? Yeah, I'd shake it up a bit.
Cody's obviously back as well.
I drop. So who am I going to be dropping?
Mm-hmm.
Drop
Diego's
Kanate.
still not available.
No, no. I'd be dropping Kanate. I'd drop maybe drop Nunes out. I don't try and change it up a bit, but this early kickoff, the form we're in, but they're so bad. They're beatable. Just I don't know. I'm really reluctant trying to even think about what we can do because we can mess this up so easily. Like this is on the players basically. I think now at the moment, this is really Klopp has kind of done all he can do at this moment in time. Really, he's just got to put players out on the pitch who say, "Okay, look, we know what's happening here. We know what's going down. So there's 4 or 5 games left. You just go out and do it." He can't train him anymore. He can't teach him anymore. He can't. You know, all you can do is keep him loose. And at the end of the day, it's always going to be on the guys that are out there on the pitch. So just, how many times can we keep expecting it to be different than it was the last time, and different than it was against Palace, different than it was against Everton? with any kind of great certainty, you know, in what you're thinking yourself. I can't sit there and think, oh, well, we'll turn it around, because that's just kind of blind thinking. No, it's the positivity is fine, and just go, well, look, better to hope for a win than assume for a loss. But, you know, it's just that West Ham are also so bad that we might have a decent chance of, I'm reckoning, a kind of an openish game between a couple of teams that aren't really in great form. They're falling off, but they've got quality out there. Kudus, Paqueta, Bowen, these guys. I really couldn't call this, man. I wouldn't put a pound on a result here. Honestly, it could be 1-1, 3-0, 4-0, either way. Well, they're not beating us 4-0. Let's not be silly, but you know, I'm going to put out a Gakpo. Mo's going to play Diaz, Mac, Endo, someone, Gravenberch, Elliott, whoever. I don't really care at this stage.
Do you sit? Here's a question: do you sit Mo Salah?
Can we bring anyone in if Jota is also out?
I mean, you could
we have enough.
Put Diaz there. We've had
Diaz on the right,
at right wing,
Gakpo on the left, and Nunez through the middle. Yeah, we could do something like that. But I'd still be sitting. I'd be benching Nunez. It's
maybe
really
even like if you want to go crazy, then maybe you do something where you do like, you know, because I've heard people reaching for or reaching or at least offering this as a solution and being like bringing some youth players, bringing some of the vibrant youth players that we've you know relied on to kind of like keep the wheels moving. And maybe you start a dance in the middle, and you start Hackbo on the left, and you start Diaz on the right. That's a very, very formidable front three. Definitely got speed and definitely got some finesse when it comes to, you know, the precision of Cody, and even Dance has some real nice ability to score.
So I don't think it's at that point quite yet. Yeah, no. If everyone says we're still in a title race, then I think it's a bit early to be starting like Dan's. But I like, a Gakpo, Nunez, and Lucho. I can see that. It's just, who are you dropping? Are you dropping Mo because he hasn't been playing well? Or are you dropping Nunez because he hasn't been playing well? You know, if Jota was just there, this might be a lot easier. But he's going to drop somebody because they don't really start. In my mind, he's got to drop one of them. Where do you get your difference maker? He's looking at someone that he can get on that pitch that's not going to accept how things are going. He's looking around that squad now and thinking, who can I put out on that pitch that isn't going to accept this?
Right.
Who's got that fire? Who can I put out there?
Who's got that fire?
Yeah. Who is it? Is it Elliott? Is it Jones? Is it? I can't go as far as a Dan's or. So I don't think we're at that point yet.
How often?
No, I just mean let's just secure things and bring these guys on.
Going off of that point of what Brian just said, JK, how often do you think he should go to the well in the essence of, or in the sense of giving opportunities to Mo Salah or to even like Curtis Jones, for instance, who has had the opportunity to show, improve, and be, you know, and really like, you know, perform, and has come short in games that, you know, that I included thought that he would get a wake-up call and say, this is the game I have to make. This is the game I have to show that fire and that resolve for. This is the game that I have to show, you know, I have to lead by example with my endeavors. But it's come up short for Cujo. So who is that player for you on this team? Is there even a player currently right now that you could say, yeah, that's the guy we need in there to kind of like spark the flames here?
For me, Curtis missed the opportunity against Everton in the derby, you know. If he wasn't going to do it then, he's going to do it again, you know, this season anyway. So
that's it, man.
I was so disappointed by him. Actually, all the players. I don't want to see Kanai again this season. For me, I want to see Kwanzaa. He's also another guy who should have stepped up in that game against Everton. You know, I was actually disappointed when I seen him lining up instead of Kwanzaa.
But can I just say to that, Jake?
Yeah.
Can I just say to that? Canade was the bang on 100% obvious choice for that match. And why?
Yeah.
Because of how we saw Everton play. Physical,
Mm-hmm.
physical. Right?
Yep.
It was going to be a physical battle. Ibu is visibly bigger than Van Dijk. And Van Dijk is massive. If you stand Ibu beside Van Dijk looks like a normal person. Canate is that big. So we put him in for that, right? Not for his ball playing ability or his defending. And we put him in there because he is going to be the biggest guy on the pitch. And guess what? He lost his physical battles. So even the thing that we brought him in for, like, I wasn't shocked why we brought him in. I was shocked at how badly he failed to do that one thing that he should be better at than everybody else, which is being physically dominant. And he was irrelevant. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying, like, I'm agreeing, like, in hindsight, maybe, but I thought it was the obvious choice was to bring him in to combat that. And he couldn't. That's where he let himself down the most for me, was that was really his only one job, was to stand up to that, and he didn't do it. And it's partly down to that we lost the game. It's mainly down to that lack of physical ability, not coping with them.
Considering that our two center backs are obviously well capable of winning, aerial duels and everything else, this sheer
not
fact
getting bullied.
Not getting bullied by, like, I'm looking across the pitch at who's bullying you. Like, that's that Stevie G thing with Curtis comment, where I'd be like, yeah, we need Stevie G to run up into his grill and be like, you gonna settle for that? You gonna stand for that? So whatever he said, and maybe inspire a little bit more out of them, a little bit more of, like, no, if it means like going in and giving a really hard tackle, or something that is just going to set the tone, or set basically the, hey, you might be trying to bully, but I'm not going to get bullied.
Exactly.
That's
you
what I
stand up to. You win those battles. That's what he taught.
Yeah.
I mean, like K-Mac, the person that let us down was Trent. I mean, K-Mac, the whole team let us down. Okay, he was. That was basically that movement where Calvert-Lewin scored that goal is basically, that's Trent at his worst. Looking at a striker, jumping to head in a goal and just going, oh, maybe I'll just put an arm out or something.
Yeah.
That was classic Trent. Like, why everybody say he can't defend. Oh, show me an example. Well, there's an example.
Oh, yeah, on the first goal.
The Calvert-Lewin goal. No, the second goal.
Oh, on the Calvert-Lewin goal.
He just stood there and basically kind of just watched him jump and score. He didn't challenge. He didn't challenge him. He didn't do.
Yeah.
And just nudge him. Even get a foul, just nudge him, or make it difficult for him getting away. Just those defensive instincts aren't there. But that was poor. But come on. I mean, I'm not going to single Trent out. You can single him out for the game, but you can. The whole team was there to be singled out. It has to be. It has to be.
There has to be better, precision and just synergy between everyone to understand their roles and what they need to do. For him to allow, it was poor for him to allow for him to get to that header, but it wasn't like that was a one-off. They were controlling, like, as in Everton's game plan was simple: set pieces and bully tactics all over the pitch.
Winning physical battles, putting it up to Liverpool, saying, "Are you up for this?" And we weren't. We were too weak.
Yep.
That's one of the weakest performances I've ever seen from us. To be, because it's not like
needed Lovren at that moment right there.
Yeah.
For some reason,
you needed a Jamie Carragher or Stevie G
on our teams. He was a little bit more of like that guy, a little bit of an enforcer for us, certainly. say what you want about Lovren, but I mean, like, he was, in my opinion.
Or just a prime VVD and a prime. Well, whoever else it was that we ever had there, we never really had. It was either Gomez or Matt, but like, just someone like in the middle just knows we're not standing for this. We might be about to lose at Everton.
Maybe Emery. Emery
Chan. No, I'm talking Stevie G. I'm talking Carrer. I'm talking these.
Oh, you're
boys,
talking about before. You're talking not. I thought you were just talking about Klopp era. Okay.
Oh, hey, we haven't really. Then you're talking about Henderson and Milner. Those boys just go out and set the tone in the middle. But no, we were weak, man. We were really weak. We were overpowered by a team. Like I said it before the game, they'll try and watch the thing before we did the game. I said they'll try and overpower us. They'll try and bully us and try to be physical.
Mm-hmm.
We have to beat them at that physical battle and play our football, because if we win the physical battle, our football is better than their football, and then we win the game.
Yeah,
we didn't win the physical battle, and we lost the game.
Yeah,
Sometimes football is that easy. Sean Dyche said it himself. Like I was talking about the other night, managers will always come out and say, "Oh, it's the start of the season. It's not the time for playing well. It's the middle of the season." Yeah. Dyche came out yesterday and said, "It's the end of the season. This isn't about playing good football. This is about winning." And he went out.
I said that was, I went off on the whole what's the guy's name? Mike. There's a guy out there. I'm not gonna say his last name, but one of the guys that goes on some of the channels. His first name is Mike.
Mike Das. Sorry, you don't want to say his last name? Oh, it's Mike Das. Sorry, you didn't. I
All right, well, there you have it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hey, there you have it. All right.
You've been called out, Mike. You've been called out. This might become a team, by the way. Keep an ear out.
Called out like the Luton fan referee. But seriously, he was going on about, oh, well, I want to see us play better football. I want to see us play better football. I want to see us play like a Real Madrid-esque style game where we're just able, transitional play and all these other points. And I'm like, I just want to see us play winning football. I could care less if we get a 1-0 game or a 5-0 game. Okay? I don't care if we have if we go out there and we look like, look as if we brought Messi in himself. As long as we win, that's all that matters. How you get the win, it doesn't matter how you get from point A to point B. As long as point B is a win. That's all that matters. And sometimes people get so wrapped up, and he was initially that, because he was getting pushback too from the panel that he was on. He was like, everyone was like, he's on a panel of a Gooner, of a City fan, if trying to think of even a Spurs fan that might have been on there, but they were just all going back what team doesn't want to see their team play entertaining football? That's all well and good, but entertaining football doesn't guarantee you wins. Having that ability to shift in or morph into that, okay, it's going to be a fight. So all right, I got hit in the mouth. I can take that now. Now I'm going to hit back. Sometimes it takes that concept, and I mean, especially when you have certain circumstances where the referees aren't going one way, the calls aren't going your way, or maybe they're going, or maybe it's just the playing ground, the way that the tempo and everything else is getting set in front of you. The ability to adjust and adapt is really what we need. And I'm not going to say that Liverpool haven't had the ability to do that. I think that if anything, we've seen, most people have called out Klopp as having an exceptional year when it comes to the majority. Not every substitution has been spot on, or even every starting 11 has been spot on. But he's definitely made some really, really good adjustments 9 out of 10 times. But unfortunately, when you're running against the City, when you're running against even an in-form Arsenal, you've got to have that 10 on 10 time, 10 out of 10 where you make the right adjustments, or you just have to have your game on point. And if we keep conceding early, that's something that needs to be addressed. Yeah.
Like I think one of the problems that people like Mike or people like that have is that they take an elitist view of football, which means that they're never happy unless they have what they consider to be fine dining food in front of them, gourmet food. They
Mhm.
they think, oh well, it is food, but it's it's not the kind of food that someone of my level of taste likes or is
Right,
attuned to. They think
right,
I can always it should always be better. It should be better. And there's really only one team, couple of teams in the history of football that have ever played consistently top quality football and
right,
also won cups and trophies. If you think that you can, if you think that you're somehow above, if you think that you're somehow above your team playing bad football that you may think is bad football and still getting results, then you're really watching the wrong sport, because there's very, very few times where teams will go out there and play world class attacking football all the
every
time
time. Yeah,
and still win, because the
right,
game is not like that. You will have
right,
different challenges every single week. You're playing different types of teams every single week. And that's what makes football brilliant. That's what some people, maybe like him or others, don't understand about football,
right,
is that
right,
it's not a game that you play every week on the same terms. You play a team like Crystal Palace, they will offer you a very different opposition or problem than a team like Arsenal will offer you. So you have
mhm,
to be able to adjust. And the best teams in the world are the ones that can match a team that goes at them physically. Because football, as much as some people don't realize, it is still a contact sport. It
right,
is a contact sport. Not every kick or push or contact is a foul. We're allowed to do that. They're trying to get rid of it. Some of us don't want that gotten rid of. Okay?
mhm,
It's still a contact sport. So you have to go up against different types of boxers to get to the top of the world championships. You'll come up against technicians, you'll come up against bruisers, you'll come up against swingers. You have to beat every type of boxer, right, to get to the top. These guys don't realize that sometimes the best teams, football goes out the window and you win your physical battles first. But no,
yeah.
no, no, no. I only want to
And
see
I think that
good
the
attacking
comment
football.
AMAC is
Well,
making is
yeah,
a little bit short sighted too, because like,
but just bring
well,
back Xavi, bring back Barcelona 09, 010, you know, bring them back. And if that's all you're ever going to be happy with, then that's fine. Then just stop watching Liverpool, go out and buy a few Barca DVDs and watch them on a loop. Because if that's the only kind
mhm,
of football that gets you up in the morning, so to speak, then just go and watch that, because it's not realistic and it's not the real world. So people who
right,
have that kind of idea is basically pure elitism, as far as I'm concerned, and they don't really understand the game to its
mm,
foundational levels. I would go so far as to say.
wow. Well, hopefully we can get Mike on here to debate. I've been on some panels with him before, and we've gone toe to toe. It's been an interesting situation to say the least.
Yeah, I'm sure. Look,
Um,
I've heard him. I've heard him. He's a nice guy. He's an intelligent guy.
I'm
He
sure.
has
I
some
mean,
great,
like
and I'm sure he'd
when
love
he's
to
not
come on.
dealing
I'm
with
sure he'd love to come on. I'm sure he would
yeah,
love to come on. He'd have no
he's got a busy
no
schedule.
problem
He
whatsoever.
does
Yeah,
Magnum PI. He does he
that's,
does I'm just joking.
yeah,
He's got like a Tom Selleck mustache. That's all.
yeah.
That's a compliment, by the way. It's not big. Um,
It's a fine tash. It's a fine tash.
yeah,
It's
it is.
enviable.
It
It's
is a
enviable. It's
masterful
enviable.
stash.
It's
It is a
enviable. But
masterful
like we
stash.
say, you've been called out, so call in. That's not
Yeah,
a
it's been
become a
called
thing,
out,
by the
so
way.
call in. But my comment
Coming
was
through.
originally, I know we're in extra time. I'm gonna let JK comment on this then too. Like the biggest problem was we never did any prep for the Palace or Atalanta game or even Everton game. It's called half whatever. I know what that word is, but I'm not gonna say it. So like uh I have a different opinion on that, in that it's not a matter of we didn't say, oh, you know what, we could look at the tape, or we could go on the training pitch and do stuff and get prepared for this game. Or it's not like Klopp. It's like, nah, forget it. You know what? I'd rather just chill, do some Netflix and chill with my lady or something. No, like realistically, you know, there's only a certain amount of time that they actually get training time to put in for the matches that they get, despite the fact that people might think that, you know, oh, well, it's just play a game, train, play a game, train. You got to have rest days too in there, so you can recover, you know, or you're gonna look super spent, you know. So that's why I push back on that comment. What you have an opinion on that, JK?
No, I was just saying what Brian said earlier about losing the physical battle against Everton. We're going to end up losing the game, you know. And I think that's perfect the way he said that. We haven't been mentally, physically right for these Palace and Everton games. I feel not arrogant enough, you know. Like Virgil van Dijk, you know, when we play good is when Virgil looks strong and he looks good on the pitch, you know. As soon as he's a bit gone down in his energy and stuff, we sort of don't play well. And he was like that in the Palace and Everton game. Surprising. That's hence why I don't really want to see Kanate.
Do you think that maybe it's because we rely so heavily on Virgil? I mean, like, look, Kanate was poor at Everton. Let's get it real. He's been poor the last couple of games that he's participated in. You know, Kwanzaa in one of the games that we had our slip up in was a game where, you know, he had a mental error. You know, he wasn't mentally engaged the entire time, I guess you could say.
He wasn't happy that day.
Yes, he was not happy. It was not happy Kwanzaa at all. And so often it gets down to Virgil. And if Virgil is going to stand tall or achieve or along those lines, you know. I mean, I had someone talk about, you know, oh, there's been again, I know that Stefano likes Mike. This is another thing Mike said, though. It was kind of interesting is that he said, oh, we've had no winners from these players. We had no game winners. We have no people on this team that have, you know, stepped up. You know, in that cup matchup, Virgil stepped up twice, not once, but twice. He had the first one taken away from him, so he did it again. You know, so like there is players that will step up to that level, but you know, this team should have plenty of players on it that can say to themselves, you know what, let's make this happen. It's the reasons why I know personally that's the reason why I was up on having Robbo participate in the games that he's participated in, because we all know his measure of like contribution and work. I thought Cujo was going to be that guy too. You know, he's got a long storied history of knowing what it's like to grow up in Liverpool and knowing the amount of you know, pressures and also the amount of importance of these games take on. Hey, and Trent as well. Trent's been in the newspaper saying, you know, or in the journals and in the press talking about how it means more and how it means this, all those other different things. You know, and then when you know, and I admit it, when I saw him when he got subbed out, look, Trent is someone that I can see. Technically, is he fit? Technically, yes. Is he fit to the liking that he would want to be able to do the normal Trent things that we expect to see more on the regular? No, I don't think so. And that could be frustrating in itself, knowing that your mind's telling you one thing, but your body's just not delivering on those same scales. But when he was hiding his face, I was like, man, this sucks. You're the face of this team, man. Pull down, don't hide your face. You know, look sternly and strongly into that camera and say, I'm going to accept what it is, but I'm going to make it better given the chance.
Missed opportunity, Jones.
Yeah, you got to want it. You
exactly.
Talked about the smoke. You got to want the smoke. You know, you said that you can handle it, and you fell short. Get the heck back up and go again, man. Fall down 7 times, get back up 8, man. That's my mentality, and he's got to have that Mamba mentality. And that's what we need from these guys. And, you know, West Ham, We got to have a little bit of not only a resurgence of it, but we're going to have to see. That's the reason why I want to see us win these 4 games out. I had someone say that these games don't mean anything.
No, they
I
do.
said,
They do.
you know, there's a couple I saw, because we're technically in a lot of people's minds we're out of it. So who cares if we win? Who cares if we lose? I saw that on some comments and such, you know, and I'm talking about from big channels as well. And you know, and I just made sure that in the comment section, which is something I hope you guys do too, in the comment section, please do comment on our post or on our segments. But in that particular comment section, I said I disagree. I think that this game, as all the games remaining, means something. I understand saying something by what it means to you about winning. And if anything, it's about pride. For me, these players have to step up and take the bull by the horns, as they say, and make this their moment. Make this their moment. They've had plenty of times to do that, and they've fallen short. They've climbed high, and then unfortunately fallen short as well. But I need them to win these games. I need them to win these games to send a message to not only to us as a fan base, not only to Klopp, who they want to give him a proper sending off, but more so to themselves, to the fact that they don't give up on themselves. That's the most important concept that I want them to understand. That when they're down like they are, the measure of your worth, or the measure of a man, is how you can rise up again and go again.
Can I just...
Yes, go ahead.
One thing that it's occurred to me recently, and this is kind of a combination, or a combination and a culmination of some things that I've been thinking about, and some things that we also spoke about recently in terms of something we were going to do a show about sort of our players too nice. Do you remember that thing? That concept we were talking about? You know, these days, you know, when you see they're always kind of, you know, on the pitch and after the pitch, you know, the stuff that used to drive the old players mad. You know, they're hugging and smiling and laughing and joking with each other after one has just gotten beaten.
Yes.
You know, all this kind of idea.
Yes.
And, you know, so I'm thinking here, like, that attitude isn't out there anymore. That attitude, that real aggressive attitude. It's like, so we need this, we need that. And so this has got me to thinking, and almost as you're talking about it there, it's kind of like I just had to get. It actually doesn't matter now, the Scouse thing. It actually doesn't matter anymore, because it's like the Scouse, you know, because these guys are so, you know, brought up in the way they are now. Have you ever seen Trent be aggressive in any game? No. Trent is not
at the Arsenal game last year. Yeah,
once or like Trent is not.
But that took someone getting in his face and calling him out.
Exactly. He's not. He doesn't. That's not in his bones. You know, that's not his natural thing, right? Curtis Jones, we're expecting him to go hard, go more, because he's from Liverpool. But what if it's not about where he's from? It's about how his head works. And like we were saying today, these days, there's no Roy Keanes, Vieiras, Gerrards that are going in there just putting in a reducer on someone after 2 minutes and going, it's going to be a long day for you, mate. I hope you're ready for it. You know, just bang, straight away, like Tarkowski did the other day. Old school. I think that's gone. I think the fact that these guys, if they're brought up in academy systems, like basically treated like royalty, if they're any good from the age of 14, 15, if you're at a top club like Liverpool, you're coming through. You don't have that streets mentality. You don't have that edge. So I'm actually thinking it's probably like more like someone like Andy Robertson that's watched the club from afar and that's come in. You're probably more likely to get the attitude from someone like him.
Right.
But even in today's game, it's a dying art. It's a dying thing to have some guy that can come in and just go bang, right. who's up next because I just sorted him out.
Right.
You know, just that kind of attitude. Just if you want to get through us, you're going to have to get through me first. And if you're good enough and strong enough, fair play to you. But we're not going to make it easy. That's what we need.
City players are not nice like that, by the way. I don't think that they're nice like that. You know, you've seen you've seen Bernardo Silva play. He's not a hey, let's be cool on the pitch.
No, but I'm just saying people in general. I just thought society. I just thought, that edge, you know, that like from 20 years ago. Like, and then go back to even before that, where, you know, you could get into a dust up on a pitch.
Yeah.
You know, it's now again, I'm not saying we want to see people fighting and punching each other.
No.
But you know, it's just that little bit of an edge has been rounded out a bit, a tiny bit. Like, I mean, Trent and Jones aren't going out there and just like, they don't scare anybody. You know, it's not like you that hard man in the middle. But maybe, you know, that's football has changed.
That's partially why you said what I said too about Konate. I mean, like, look, you know, Konate's one of those. Konate's our Liverpool Hulk. You know, he's our Red Hulk. You know, and the sheer fact that it seemed like he had no fight in his game when it came to Everton, and the sheer fact that he was getting bullied and muscled off of certain things, that he didn't take it as a personal slight, then made me say, hey, you know what? Like, maybe it doesn't mean more to him. You know, maybe it just is whatever. It's good. You know, it is what it is. And that can't be the mentality of this club, much less the players that represent the badge. That's at least my perspective. It does have to mean more. It has to mean the most of anything to them, you know, to the point where they're willing to go out there and give their all. Otherwise, they're going to always look at it as, oh, there's another day for it. I didn't have my best day, but well, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
You know what, bro? I think...
Yeah, Jake, I was just going to ask, do you think those days are gone? Or is it a cultural thing? Do you think those days are gone? JK,
what do you mean? Which
like
days
the Roy Keanes and the Vieiras, you know?
Oh, they're gone.
Yeah.
The leader, like that urgency button, that I'm the boss here sort of button, you know, that sort of died out in the game. I think VAR and the way referees are quickly to get yellow cards out, I sort of sorted that out, you know. Ever since like the referees have sort of changed their mentality regarding tackles and stuff. Back in the days, yellow cards used to come and red cards used to come, but later on in the game, nowadays, it can come in the first minute, you know?
Yeah.
Little tug here, this, whatever. And I think the referees have ruined that aggression out of the game. You need aggression in the game, you know?
Yeah.
And I also believe sometimes the games are won.
Yeah.
Sometimes the games are won before the whistle's even blown on the pitch to start the game. And I think against Palace and Everton, that should have been the mentality of Van Dijk and the players. And they didn't do that.
Yeah.
I'll just say to anybody, and I know you've all seen it. I know everyone has seen this, but if you haven't, just go onto YouTube and just put Roy Keane v Vieira in the tunnel. Mm-hmm. That's leadership. That's setting the tone.
Yeah.
That's telling you this is going to be a battle. Literally, I'll see you out there. That's why I picked Roy Keane. I know everyone hates Man United and everyone hates Arsenal. That's why I picked Roy Keane when we're building our Frankenstein people for leadership. Mm-hmm. He saw Vieira, who's like 6'8", picking on Gary Neville, who was like 5'2", and Roy Keane's only like 5'10". Gets right in the middle and sorts it right out and says, "I'll see you out there." He was ready to go.
Yeah,
that kind of hunger and attitude, that's unbuyable. That's the essence of sport right there. Right there is the essence. And Patrick Vieira was known as the hardest bastard in the Premier League. He was known as the hardest bastard. And Roy Keane went up. I can't wait to see you out there because we're both in midfield and I'm going to smash you. You know what I mean? Yeah, Realism doesn't have YouTube. Brilliant. Yeah, I like it, man. Nice one. He's just coming in from a different galaxy. He doesn't have this thing called YouTube. Yeah. He's just typing in from his own app that he's invented. Yeah, cool. But yeah, I know it's gone, but that's what I'm saying.
No, Bayesian pops and
those times, man.
Back up what you're saying. Yeah.
Those times you got just incredible to see that. If like again, I'm an Irishman, so an Irishman, not a Northern Irishman. If anyone else is watching, and to see Keane, as much as I hated United, that to me was just the essence of competition.
Right.
That was like two gladiators, like those cliches that they use. It really was that. I was like, oh, I can't wait for this, because one of them's getting sent off in about 5 minutes is what you're thinking. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, that aggression that's part of the game that they want to dilute out of it, that is really what made it. Look, you guys, like, look at ice hockey. Like, you literally have punch-ups in the middle of the thing, and nobody gets sent off.
Yeah.
So, oh, they're just having a fight. Don't worry.
Yeah,
it'll be over.
they end up just going to a penalty bin. Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry. They're just punching the heads off each other. Don't worry. They'll finish it up in a minute. It'll be
the penalty box and take it down in there.
Yeah, like, can you imagine? Just imagine doing that in football. Don't worry. They're just punching it up. They'll be all right in a minute. We're sitting down for 2 minutes. They'll come back on.
No, you know what's funny about it is that, like, not funny, but you're talking about that fire and that grit and everything else. That Everton matchup, do you realize that Everton did not have any cards drawn on them in that matchup?
Not fair play. Yeah.
They had only 6 fouls called on them the entire game.
Controlled aggression. They did it well.
6 fouls called on them the entire game. Yet we had 13 fouls and we had 3 yellow cards from those fouls as well. That's like, that right there is a measure, right? Like, as in,
and that's crazy, because their tactics was to be aggressive.
Yeah, that's why. Like, you would have thought it would have been vice versa. That's the part of it. Like, you would have thought it would have been
aggression. They did us over like children. They made us look like we'd like we'd never been playing football. Exactly. It was, what's this, the big boys game now? I was like, oh Christ, lads. I've never seen the air without it. Like, with this whole thing is done, man. This whole thing is so done. So, it seems like the slightest bit of resistance is enough to do us in. But yeah, real quick, before we end the segment here. Yeah.
Before we end the segment, what's your score prediction? Tell me your score predictions for tomorrow, guys. Do we have gladiators, as MK Toe just said? The gladiator aspect is gone. Also, the European Ultra Tifo factions are gone. Like, what do you have for this matchup tomorrow against West Ham? Antonio is going on for I think it's his first time all year. He's going to be trying to score in 3 consecutive games. What is your tally for tomorrow?
JK?
Oh, JK is on mute.
Oh, okay. 4-2 Liverpool.
Wow.
I think it might end up being a bit of a
It'll be a very high, very open game.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be like 2 teams who are kind of half shot. One's on the beach, the other is, still at 4-2 to us. By the way,
yeah, or 2-4. You want to call it.
I think it'll be loose. This is going to be a loose game, if you know what I mean by loose. I don't think it's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be open. Again, if we're awake, this time is horrible, but I can 2 teams who are not at their best, but like to attack. Again, we're saying this about a Moyes team, but with Paqueta and Kudus and Bowen and Antonio at home, like MK was saying, a fun yo-yo game. That's exactly what I'm thinking will happen. Or exactly. I think that we're both a little bit not at our best, but there's so much quality on that pitch. McAllister, a Nunes, a Gakpo, a Salah, and all that. If you give them enough space and enough chances, if we're not great, and Paqueta and a Bowen and a Kudus and these guys start having a bit of fun. They're on the beach, Jared. They're on the beach. I think we're in. But they've given up basically on the season, I think. So a couple of them boys playing for moves. I'll just put that out there. Paqueta and Kudus are trying to go. They will be very, very inclined to put in a good performance against Liverpool, because they want to leave West Ham. Kudus was obviously going there as a stepping stone. Paqueta was nearly at Man City last year. Exactly that thing. So putting up a top quality performance against a team like Liverpool, don't be surprised if one of these guys starts looking like the best player in the league for 5 minutes, because they can be. Paqueta is pure quality. Like, there's a reason Man City wanted him for 90 million. Cash up front. No doubt. Here you go. Take the money. We'll take the player. Thank you.
Well, Trigger TV has it at being 1-3 for Liverpool. MK Toe has it being a 2-2 draw. Okay. Philip has it being 1-2 Liverpool. Trigger TV also has us drawing with Spurs and United.
United.
We're not. Maybe means
West Ham United.
Yeah, maybe it's been West Ham United, but he already said his score. Okay. Maybe he didn't mean to put United in there. But let's see who else has put a score in there for. Oh, Bernadette says it's going to be tough. They will be buoyed up by Everton and United results, and then think they can take us. But 2-1 for me to us is what she is saying. Yeah, I think that now. Nice. I'm hoping that now that we've got this whole pretty much gotten this whole new manager thing out of the way. We pretty much have a lot of the components of what's going to be coming in the upcoming year. Now it's just a matter of what is your measure of pride? That's what I see it as. You could consider yourself out, but I always say, if you give up right now and then find out that hypothetically City lose 2 games, and let's say and Arsenal say they lose 2 games, wouldn't you be pissed off at yourselves if you just didn't go out there and do what you needed to do, which is win and see where the cards fall? That's all I'm saying. I'm not expecting United, I'm not expecting United to necessarily beat City, or I'm not expecting any of the matchups to go necessarily in our favor per se, and by getting results against Arsenal or Spurs. But what I am saying is expect the best, prepare for the worst.
Do our job, and then let the cards fall as they may, because we can't influence other people's. But if we don't win our games, then it's kind of it, and that starts to, again, as you were saying, the only thing that you can say to a lot of these players now at this stage, in my mind anyway, is that okay, we are where we are. I'm leaving. I'm Jurgen Klopp. I'm leaving. I'm not going to be in charge of your future. I'm not going to be picking you next season. I'm not going to be selling you. But these fans will remember. So if you don't show up for the next 4 or 5 games, and you throw in the towel, okay, I might be gone. Linders might be gone, but these fans won't forget it. So even if you can't win the title, don't throw it in. Don't just give up on it, because our fans have long memories, and they know a good player when they see one, or at least we used to, and there we go. But that's the only thing he's got left to pull out of the fire, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of motivational tools, is that just show these fans that even if you don't think you can win it, that you do care. You just that you care, because that's all fans ever want to see. Come rain, come shine, good result, bad result, good player, bad player, is that you care and that you want to work. And if you show us that you care and you work hard, then we'll forgive you pretty much everything. If you're just working hard and you're trying, but as soon as you can see the players are throwing the towel in, fans won't forget that. So that's really the only motivational tool we have left, I think.
Let me do one shout out to Marion, who just gave out a 1974 reference of when Kevin Keegan and Billy Bremner had a punch up at Anfield, and Johnny Giles was punching Kevin Keegan in the charity stand, in the charity shield. Excuse me. That's something right there.
Yeah,
That
Johnny
is-
Giles, Irish player, Irish legend, wonderful player. But yeah, you can watch that and you can find it on YouTube.
You
Kevin
can find
Keegan,
it on
Billy
YouTube.
Bremner.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, it was swinging at each other. But to be honest, look, Kevin Keegan had absolutely no place whatsoever being in a fight with Billy Bremner. Billy Bremner is literally like when people talk about, you know, hard man 70s footballers, like he's literally the guy, you know, he's the guy in the lock, stock, and two smoking bar. He's one of those type people. Whereas Kevin Keegan,
Yeah.
you know, adverts for shampoo and aftershave. Like he was not the kind of guy that was getting like Billy Bremner would have dealt with him seriously. So that was the whole thing. That was what was so crazy about that fight. It was like,
didn't Billy like take
footballer.
off his shirt? Who took off? One of them like took off his shirt or
Oh,
something.
they both went for it. They both went for it. It was
pissed,
like,
right?
yeah, it was like no one knew. Like they call it like that would be like, I don't know, like Jota going toe to toe with like, I don't know who's even there isn't even
I can't see
there isn't
Diego
even
going
anyone like.
really.
But that's exactly what I mean.
He's
That's why it was like
yeah.
Keegan. There isn't even a tough guy like that anymore. You know, so to think to Bremner, like who could you think the hardest player out there and the softest player out there? You know, it was like there was other players on that Liverpool team that would have knocked you out. But Keegan was not him. It was like, okay, it was like the guy from Take That. You know, fighting. It's like, okay, we didn't know. Okay, fair play. And he went toe to toe with Bremner. And then Johnny Giles, that was, those were different times, man. Those really were. Like, that was like that dust up. That was like an ice hockey thing. That was literally two guys just going toe to toe and swinging, bare knuckle boxing in the middle of a football pitch. Yeah. I don't want to say you love to see it, but you love to see it. You know, it's just like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Yep. That one that Bernadette brings up was a head scratcher too. I remember that as well.
That's even rare beast, isn't it? Yeah. Teammates fighting with each other.
Actually, when teammates have problems or issues. Yeah, definitely. There's a shout out, and we're going to end the series after this, or the session after this.
Professor X, we're calling him Professor X.
Can we talk about? Yeah, no, I saw that, aka Professor X. That is a good one. That's a good one too.
Is that like a comic book thing? Or
yeah, X-Men. Comics.
Oh, Star Trek.
Professor X is like
Star Trek dude.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it.
He plays Professor X. Yeah. So, the question I was gonna, or this last point I was gonna bring up. So, Reels and Jared, I guess, was calling me out because I said, "What you mean measure of pride? It's not that left field of Arsenal for Arsenal to draw once and City to draw twice. Come on, Lightning can strike 3 times for this documentary." And what I am saying is that it is a measure for me. It's a measure of, it starts with pride. I mean, if you can get the basic component being pride, that's what I'm trying to get across. It's like, on stream where? Oh no, I don't see it. Oh yeah. I already did the stream on yesterday. That was yesterday's stream, was a slot machine. But we're ahead of the curve on this channel, guys. Come on, you know that we always are ahead of the curve. But no, when I was saying about pride, I think it's important that pride, you got to start somewhere, especially when you're looking for something, when things aren't working out or whatever. If you can at least register whatever it is in your heart, body, and soul, you know, to have that sense of pride, that's a good starting point for me. That's all I'm asking. Like, as and if you could see, I think a lot of people would say this. You'll see us. You've seen us go out there, maybe get a draw, possibly even lose. But if you see us fight with heart, the same way that everyone talked about the Spurs match. Our last Spurs match, how many people did you see say, "Oh, I was so proud of him. I was so proud of him"? That's what I want to see from this team. I don't want to see us get screwed over the way we got screwed over in that game and get the result that we got, which was like an own goal loss. But we had an own goal loss, and people were still saying we played with pride. We played with fight. We played with like some type of heart. Despite us losing, you're still able to hold your heads up high. That's what I'm asking for. That is the starting
That's
point.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
the
The
starting
fans won't forget. Exactly. If you go out and you lose every game between now and the end of the season, go out and do it in a way that the fans can go, wow, they didn't have give it their all.
They didn't mail it in.
Yeah.
They didn't mail it in.
That's all we need from now on. It's just to show that you realize where you are, the club you're at, and the opportunity you've been given.
Yep.
And it's up to you now to, you're here now. It's up to you now. You're the guys wearing the shirts. You're the guys on the pitch.
Yeah.
So pride and go for every last point. First, second, third, just go for every last point. Don't leave anything on the pitch.
Yep.
Because we left it on the pitch against Palace and we left it on the pitch against Everton. So there's no more excuses anymore because a couple of them, I think, are now playing for their futures in the eyes of the fans. In the eyes of the fans, you're playing for your futures. Nunes, Kanate, Jones, even for some people, Robertson for others. Take your pick. I'm not going to tell anybody what to think, right? But we all know, there's a couple of these guys that are out there that if they phone it in from now to the end of the season,
I'll be the first to say that you need to pack your bags and go with Klopp. Because that's the honest to God's truth. Like as in,
off into the sunset with him. If you're done because he's done, then sorry, but we're Liverpool. We're bigger than everybody. We're bigger than everybody.
We need players that show fight, no matter who is at the helm. So.
Give me the next Salah. Give me the next VVD. Give me the next Klopp. We've had Shankly. We've had Dalglish. We've had Gerrard. We've had Istanbul. We don't stop. We do not stop. As a club, we do not stop. We will be here long after you're gone. We will be setting records. We will be winning trophies. We will be doing stuff in Europe. We do not stop as a entity. Shankly said it. We exist to win trophies. We only need players that are here to do that. That's all we need. So if you're not on board, if you're here because Klopp, if it's your dream is over, well, fuck off. Yeah. Next, new manager, new players, new dawn, new beginnings.
We do not stop the music.
We do not stop. Liverpool does not stop. It will not stop. Yes. So don't ever forget that when you're out there looking at, Klopp is going, this guy's going. We've lost and we have left some of the best players ever play football. Go.
Yeah.
Suarez, Dalglish, Souness, go all the way back.
Yeah.
And where are we now? Still winning league titles. This team, it's relentless.
These are only chapters, people. Every chapter has an end, but there's another chapter after. That's the part and point. It's about how we write that next chapter. It's important. That's how I see it. All right, last question though, real quick though, because I know JK didn't get your score prediction. JK
2-0.
Yeah, 2-0. Okay. So Brian has it as 4-2. The Irishman has it official as 4-2. Officially in the books for JK is 2-0. I'm gonna go with. I want to go with 3-0, but I'm gonna go 3-1. I'll go 3-1. That's just go with the old fail safe, basically. 3-1. So hopefully they can do us proud this time. All right, you guys. We will be most likely doing something. If anything, it'll be tomorrow after the game is over. Again, the game is on at like 4:30 in the morning for me here in America. So yeah, it is going to be a fun one today. Let me tell you, because I gotta I got a show tonight, then I got to, it's going to be crazy.
No sleep.
Yeah, fun times. But what I can say is this: I hope that this weekend is a masterful weekend for each and every one of you, especially the panel, especially the chat as well, though. And hey, we have to show some pride too, and that is by sticking with our club regardless. Showing them the support and love that they need, and I hope that you guys are with us for this walk, and I believe that you will, because I think that that's what kind of measure of quality that we have in the chat, especially on the panel as well. So yeah, up the Reds, and if anything, continue to take care of yourself, because it's very important, and to always take care of your loved ones each and every time. And until tomorrow, again, what can we say other than up the Reds?
Adios.